Hello and welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, please consider liking and also subscribing. So, okay, today I'm going to be looking at probably the 5 worst albums I have had the misfortune of purchasing. Now, if you're anything like me, when you first started to get into your favourite band or artist or genre, you wanted to try and get as much material that you possibly could to complete that said collection. Now, that being the case, way back uh, in the dim and distant 80s, I was into my classic rock, my heavy metal, my hair metal even. I liked Van Halen. I liked Deep Purple. I liked Aerosmith. And I was just getting in touch with a band from Germany called Scorpions or The Scorpions. So, after hearing that massive mega hit, Winds of Change or Wind of Change, I decided I must get myself some more Scorpions material. So I headed faithfully down to my friend Steve's record shop, who had a host of metal CDs, vinyl, everything you could imagine. And I said to him, "Do you have any material by the Scorpions?" And he said, "Yes." And he handed me this rather dark covered cover with a bird on it. So I took it home and I put it in the CD player and I played it. And I thought, what the hell have you sold me here, you con artist? Are you desperate really to get rid of your rubbish and sell it on to quite a regular customer who was in there probably every week to buy something? And I found out it was called Lonesome Crow. Now, Lonesome Crow, as it turns out, was the 1972 debut album by the Scorpions with a then 16-year-old Michael Schenker. Yes, the legendary Michael Schenker. In interviews, they have stated they were trying to find their way musically. Yeah, you can certainly see they were trying to do that. And they were experimenting with different styles. I mean, a lot of the stuff sounded to me like really, you could have chucked it on a dodgy film soundtrack from that era and get away with it. So anyway, there you go. So that was Lonesome Crow by the Scorpions, so of course Michael Schenker, goes off to form UFO, and then we've got Uri John Roth, who's on guitar duties. But yes, I can still remember that day thinking, what on earth have I purchased? It was the blimmin' awful album, I'm telling you. I just could not. I mean, I'm sure there are fans out there, Scorpions completists, will say it's a wonderful album. To me, it was nothing but a wonderful album. And that Lonesome Crow, I could quite understand why he hadn't got any companions, because if he was carrying that music around with him, it's a wonder he hadn't been shot out the sky. But anyway, of course, the rest is history, and Scorpions are still rocking it even today. Okay, coming in at number, hang on, what on are we? Number 5, we'll say that. Scorpions, number 5, Lonesome Crow. Okay, number 4. Now, having appreciated a lot of rock and metal bands, I, of course, along with many a connoisseur, gravitated towards the mighty Led Zeppelin. I'd managed to get the debut album, which blew me away. I thought, what an absolute blistering, sonically fantastic album it was. I mean, raw, rough, ready, recorded in little to no time, but an absolute superb gem, fantastic. See, I can't sing its praises enough, but an absolute brilliant debut album. Ended up getting, of course, Zep 2, Zep 3, which took a bit of growing into, Zep 4, of course, Physical Graffiti, Houses of the Holy, which I could sort of give or take, Presents, which I really liked, actually. And then, unfortunately, what killed the pig for me, so to speak, was when I ended up buying In Through the Outdoor, recorded at ABBA's famous Polar Studios. Oh dear, that didn't do the album any favours, did it? So anyway, I remember listening to this album, Wasn't particularly fond of the tracks. They were okay, I guess, but 79 and all that, they had a few problems going on. But it really wasn't so much the songs, because when I put the CD in the tray, I put it on. I started listening to In the Evening. Fantastic intro. Thought, oh, this is going to be good. And I do really like the guitaring on it. I think it's pretty good. You know, legendary riff yet again from Jimmy Page. But unfortunately, what destroyed it all for me was the fact that when Robert Plant started to sing the vocals, I couldn't hear a damn word he was saying. It was the worst mix of vocals I'd ever heard in my life, if I'm honest. So I was just, and I played the rest of it. I didn't like Hot Dog on it. I thought it was a bit naff, really. But yeah, to me, it was just not Zeppelin. They just somehow they'd lost their touch. Obviously, that was their last album officially. And to be honest, I went out and got Coda as well, and I liked that a load better than I did In Through the Outdoor. So sorry, guys. For me, it's In Through the Outdoor, one of the worst purchases I ever made. Right, number 3. I'm afraid number 3 is, I think it's quite sad in a way, because this band really did make it big, especially in the US in '87. And I'm talking about, of course, Whitesnake with David Coverdale and pals and whoever else was on that journey at that time. So Whitesnake '87, I thought that was an absolute blistering album. I've even got it. It hasn't been resigned as a doorstop or a bookend yet. So, Still of the Night, Bad Boys, Is This Love, of course, which is a fantastic ballad, and Here I Go Again, the '87 version. Fantastic album. Loved it. Looking at the personnel on here, you have to excuse the focus of this silly camera at the moment. But anyway, so personnel on here, obviously, we've got Dave Coverdale, or Dave Cover Version, as I used to call him when he was with Jimmy Page. John Sykes on guitar and vocals, Neil Murray bass, and Ainsley Dunbar on the drums. So all in all, I thought it was a pretty epic album. I mean, it's certainly MTV friendly, that was. Dave no longer with his working class long hair and jeans and whatnot, but rather a nice shaggy perm, leather trousers, and a jacket to boot. So a completely different animal. So yeah, that was a great album. Loved it. Went out CD hunting, of course, and I noticed that, excuse me, but I have lost something. Anyway, it matters not. It matters not, actually. The next album, of course, I bought was another Whitesnake album, which was the follow-up, which was 1989's Slip of the Tongue. And I bought it, I will confess, solely on the strength that it had not Here I Go Again. Oh dear me, aren't I awful? I had this album a minute ago. Here we are, I've got it. Oh dear. There's no hope, is there? Right. I bought this album on the strength of it having Fool for Your Loving. Now, I'd bought both of the original Whitesnake albums with Fool for Your Loving and Here I Go Again. Brilliant. Obviously, revamped for the 80s and all that and glamorized. But I got to be honest, the album for me was a major, major disappointment. One I wish I'd never got. Never played the album, I think. I probably played it twice, if that. And I was probably track skipping as well. The crew on here, obviously Dave as well is on there. You've got Steve Vai, who I happened to see with a short-lived band way back supporting Aerosmith in '93. And you've got Adrian Vandenberg, and I like him as well. But to be honest, the album was an absolute, to me, it was a mess. I didn't like it. I just thought it was just, I don't know, it had lost something. It just wasn't up to snuff. What else can you say, It just wasn't for me. I'm sure there are plenty of people who love all these albums, but it wasn't for me. I'm sorry, it just wasn't. So anyway, that's it. So Scorpions so far in through the outdoor, Zeppelin, um, White Snake. Next one will be, bear with me. Okay, next on the list. Now, I could be guilty here of committing the seminal prog rock crime of buying into the 80s material. And I'm afraid, yes, I did. I bought 90125 by Yes, and I rather enjoyed it actually. Obviously, Owner of a Lonely Heart was massively, played everywhere. Obviously, the song and the LP hasn't like dated very well. A lot of things from the 80s just haven't dated very well. Um, but I thought, I did like the album. I got to confess, I thought the track listing was wonderful. It'd been done really well. I enjoyed every song on there. I thought, yeah, I like these guys. And to be honest, it was that sort of taste of Yes that led me to go and listen back to earlier stuff. So, not a bad thing. Got to start somewhere. However, I made the rookie mistake of thinking, oh, I must get their next 80s fare here, the next one, which was Big Generator. Oh, big disappointment, more like. There it is, in all of its wonderful 80s, what would have been technical wizardry of, album covers looking so wildly futuristic. But today, it just looks like it's from the 80s. Anywho, on here, you've got Rhythm of the Night, Big Generator, Shoot High, Aim Low. Well, they probably did with this one. Obviously, Love Will Find a Way was a big hit for these guys. I liked that. I liked Holy Lamb. I didn't like much of the rest, really, but to me, that was a bit of a disappointment. So yeah, it's something I rarely, 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 rarely play. In fact, if I'm honest, I tend to play Yes Union and what was it? Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe album as well. In fact, I go for those. I prefer those more than I do Big Generator. So there you go. There's that one out of the way, eh? Right. That can be used to ward off evil spirits, I think. So anyway, that's Big Generator by Yes, which was, as I say, a big, big disappointment. Right. So let's just have a quick recap here. We've got Scorpions at number 5, In Through the Outdoor at number 4, Slip of the Tongue at number 3. We have Big Generator at number 2. To be honest with you, I could label these all pretty much the same, to be honest. But anyway, to me, Scorpions is at the bottom of the pile at number 6. So there you go. So the next one, in a way, I got to be honest, was a bit tricky. I almost went for Aerosmith's Done with Mirrors. Wasn't so much the track listing, and to be honest, I did have second thoughts in the end because I thought the main problem with Done with Mirrors to me was teaming up with Ted Templeman. Now, Ted Templeman, fair play to the guy. He worked with Van Halen, did a cracking job with them. Obviously Van Halen 1, 2, etc. Great stuff. Ted Templeman and Aerosmith, I did not think was a very good match. So, to be honest, I got to let that slide. And I think, if I'm honest, the biggest disappointment for me was buying, and I know they're on tour next year with a new drummer called Annika Niles. And it's those guys from Canada, Rush, and particularly Rush Signals, released in 1982, having a really decent song, actually, Subdivisions, New World Man. I'll be honest, those are the only 2 tracks I've ever liked on it. Don't like anything else on it. Think it's too keyboard driven, not enough Alex Lifeson. Just too much like processed spam in a can, I guess, this for me. You know, and you think that's coming off the back of the absolute classic Moving Pictures, you know, which has obviously Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight, The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, Vital Signs. Such absolute elegance replaced by a supermarket owned brand, really. Not great. I did not like Rush. Like everything with Rush, to be fair. Most of the time, it's the LP covers that always attracted me. But no go. I'm sorry, guys. Too much keyboard on this, fellas. As I say, I like Subdivisions. I like New World Man. The rest of it, nah. Sorry. I liked even Grace Under Pressure for me was a massive improvement. So sorry, folks. Anyway, those are my 5 mistaken purchases. Although, having said that, I wouldn't be without Rush Signals because I got to be honest, I have to have the complete collection. That's just how it is. But yes, those are my iffy purchases. As I say, there's plenty of people out there who probably love those albums. I'm not one of them. I think they're like errors on my part. Any that spring to mind for you, let me know. And thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the flip side. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.